So the other day my mind was on the subject of comics, as it probably way too often is. And I had this thought that I should share with you. Rather, I thought again about something I had connected many years ago. Because my two favorite subjects probably are superheroes and the Bible. And so years ago, when I was reading through the book of James, which is now my favorite book of the Bible, I came across a Bible verse, which when I was a teenager, I realized connected, I think, pretty well with SpiderMan. You see, if you're familiar with SpiderMan at all, beyond just, he fights crime and swings from a web, then you know the famous saying associated with him, which is that with great power comes great responsibility. And fun little nerd fact, in the movies and in the comics nowadays, it's Uncle Ben that says that to Spider-Man. In the original comic, the very first origin story of Spider-Man, that was just something the narrator adds at the end. But anyways, that's beside the point. The whole point of the saying is, for Spider-Man, what that means is, and what he learned early on when he didn't stop that robber, is with great power comes great responsibility. And that means that because of the abilities he has, if he doesn't use those for good, then he is doing something wrong. He has the responsibility. It is his job, his responsibility to use those powers to stop evil, to help people. Because when he didn't, his Uncle Ben died. And if he doesn't do it on any given day, other people suffer because he isn't using that ability that he has. And to me, that connects really well with a Bible verse, James chapter 4, verse 17. And in this passage, James is writing about how God, all the time that we have, is for us to serve God. And he gets to this point where he says, if anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them, or to him it is sin. So in other words, what it's saying here in James is, if you know a good thing that you can do and that you should do, and you don't do it, then you're sinning. Goes along really well with what Spider-Man is saying, I think. Maybe I'm just too much of a nerd and I'm connecting that anyways. But the point here is, I think a lot of the time when we think about what the Bible says, most of the time we think of the thou shalt nots from the Ten Commandments, all the things the Bible says you shouldn't do. But there's more to it than that. On the other hand, it's not just about what we shouldn't do, it's also about what we should do, what God commands us to do. Helping others, giving to the poor, showing love, even showing love to people who aren't showing us love in return. All those things are commanded by God. And if we don't do it, then for us, it is sin. Because we might not necessarily in our own minds have great power, but with the power that God has given us, does come still great responsibility.